Good morning, students. Welcome to your geography class. I hope all of you are well. Today, we will start a new chapter, which is chapter 4 Agriculture. As we know, India is an agriculture important country. Our civilization started on the basis of primary sector, and in primary sector, agriculture sector is most important. We all required some food crops as well as non-food crops for our survival. So we all are depend upon agriculture sector directly or indirectly. Two-thirds of our population in India is still now engaged in agriculture activities, directly or indirectly. Agriculture is a primary activity, as we all know, which produces most of the foods that we consume. Yes, firstly and most importantly, we all depend upon agriculture sector for the food that we consume, that we require for our survival. Beside the food grain, it also produces some raw materials which required in industrial sector. So not only agriculture sector is producing food for us, it also producing raw material which we require in industrial sector. Now industrial sector as well, now not all, but there are some industrial sector depend upon agriculture sector for their production. So today we will discuss about the types of farming. Now, on the basis of activity, method, process, technology, as well as socio cultural practices, we have categories of farming sector. Now, agriculture is an age old economic activity in our country. Over this year, cultivation methods have changed significantly depending upon the characteristics of physical environment, technological know how, and socio cultural practices. As we know, the way agriculture methods started, now at present we are not following the same process or method. Why? Because as we know now, agriculture land is now limited, right? And we have a huge population for agriculture. We require a huge amount of food to survive. So automatically, when we have a huge population but we have a limited land, so we need to change the method. And because nowadays industrial sector as well involved in agriculture sector, so depending upon the physical environment, depending upon technological aspects as well as socio cultural practices, now the farming methods are totally changed. Farming varies substantially to commercial type. Now we are not depending upon agriculture sector only for the food. For commercialization as well, we are depending upon agriculture sector. So nowadays, at present in India, varieties of farming methods we are practicing. So first, as you can see, we'll discuss about the primitive subsistency farming. Okay, what is this? Now, this type of farming is still practiced in few pockets of India. Okay, so primitive subsistency farming means old method or ancient method of farming. There are very few places in India as well as in the world where still people are using this or people are practicing this type of farming. So, primitive subsistence farming agriculture is practiced on a small patch of land. So, there are some particular features we have or we can see in primitive subsistence farming. Now, primitive subsistence farming means it required a very small patch of land. You are not going to have a large land, a small patch of land we have, with the use of course primitive tools. No use of technology, okay, no use of machine. People still using primitive tools like hoe, dao, digging sticks and all. And of course they are not hiring laborers or they are not hiring farmer, family members or community members together, they are producing basically the food crops for the survival. This type of farming depends upon monsoon. As I said, no use of technology. So this type of farming depend upon monsoon, depend upon natural rainfall, because they are not using any type of irrigation system, because irrigation system, if they are going to use, they need to use pump set or machine. Okay, they need to use machines. So, natural fertility of the soil and suitability of other environmental conditions to crop growth. So, the crop that they are going to produce in primitive subsistence farming is totally depend upon the natural fertility level of the soil, as well as depend upon the natural climatic conditions. Okay, because they are not using any type of technology, any type of machine. So, totally the whole production depend upon natural resource. Okay, so these are the features of primitive subsistence farming. Now first, it is that a small patch of land they are going to have is very much limited. The primitive tools they are going to use, they are not using any machine, any tractors and all. They are using hoe, dowel, digging sticks. They are not hiring any extra farmers or any other labor. Family members or committee members, they are together producing the crops, and they totally depend upon monsoon rainfall, and of course the natural fertility, and depend upon the natural resources and natural or climatic condition they are producing the crops. Okay, now this type of farming method, primitive subsistence farming method, is also known as slash and burn agriculture. Okay, is also known as slash and burn agriculture. Farmers, so as we know, because they are not using ADA machines, so when they need to use a land, what they are doing, they, instead of like plugging the grasses and trees, it, because it will take a huge time if they want to clear the land. So how they're clearing the land before using the land, now they are going to burn the area. Okay, so farmers clear a patch of land and produces cereals and other food crops to sustain their family. So as you have seen, this type of farming, basically the product or the crops they're producing only for their family survival or for the community only. So slash and burn agriculture, where farmers are clearing a patch of land and they are producing the very common food crops only for their family or for their community. When the soil now, because they are not using any extra chemicals or something like that, so when the natural fertility level decreases, okay, when the natural fertility of the crop decreases, what they're doing, they shift to another land. When they see that the production is decreasing, it means the natural fertility of the soil is also decreasing. So instead of using chemicals, what they're doing, they shifted to another land. They again clear another patch of land and they started production over there, and they are leaving the previous land to replenish or to regain its natural fertility. Okay, this is why this type of agriculture known as shifting agriculture as well, because whenever they see that natural fertility of the soil is decreasing, they started moving towards some other land. Again they start from the beginning, and the previous land they're going to leave for some times to replenish or to regain its natural fertility. So this type of shifts allows natural nature to replenish the fertility of the soil through natural processes and land productivity. Yes, of course, when, as you have learned in your previous chapter about current fallow land, where we have learned now to regain the natural fertility of the soil, sometimes we need to leave the land, right? Same thing happened here as well. The previous land that going to reduce its natural fertility, they are leaving the land, they're going to leave the land, and while they're leaving the land, nature will help the land to regain or to replenish its natural fertility. Okay, so this type of agriculture is known, first of all, primitive subsistence farming. It is also known as slash and burn agriculture. It is also known as shifting agriculture. Okay, now this type of farming, primitive subsistence farming or slash and burn agriculture, locally known, because we have different languages in the whole world, so locally these type of farming having their own name. like it is known as Jhuming in northeastern states of Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Palamu in Manipur, Deepa in Bastar district of Chhattisgarh and Andaman Nicobar. So as you can see, there's so many states in India where we are having the this type of farming which is known as primitive subsistence farming. It includes northeastern states Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Manipur, Chhattisgarh and Andaman Nicobar. So in these places this is known as jhuming agriculture. Now this type of jhuming cultivation or slash and burn agriculture or primitive subsistence farming is known in different countries with a different name. So as you can see, the slash and burn agriculture is known as milpa in Mexico and in Central America, Concuo in Venezuela, Roca in Brazil, Masoli in Central Africa, Ladang in Indonesia, and Ray in Vietnam. So all these names of primitive subsistence farming is important to learn, not for a long question but for MCQs. If you see any last year any sample paper, you will get to see either for like fill in the blanks, match the following, or choose the correct option. They have given this type of question. Okay, so this topic is very much important, name of jhuming cultivation in different countries and as well as in different states of India. So in India, this primitive form of cultivation is called Bewar or Dhaya in Madhya Pradesh, Podu or Penda in Andhra Pradesh, Pamadevi or Koman or Bringa in Odisha, Kumari in Western Ghat, Varle or Walter in southeastern Rajasthan, Khel in the Himalayan belt, and Kurua in Jharkhand, and Jhuming in the northeastern states. As you know, in India we have different languages. So according to that, we have different names of this slash and burn agriculture or this primitive form of cultivation. As I said, this topic or this para is important for your MCQ. So all of you should learn each and every name very carefully, because in your exams you are going to have questions from this topic only. Okay. Now the next type of farming, as you can see, intensive subsistence farming. Okay, this type of farming is practiced in areas of high population pressure on the land. Okay, within the name only you can understand it is intensive. Why? Because primitive subsistence farming we have seen in very particular parts of India where we have basically less technology or where facilities are not available. In this type of regions or places, we have primitive subsistence farming. But rest places in the country, we have intensive subsistence farming. It means this type of farming practiced in a large area where we have pressure of high population. Of course, as we know, in agriculture sector we have a very limited land with a high population and we need to feed each and everyone. So in the areas where we have a huge population but we have very limited land to produce, we so this type of farming known as intensive farming. Okay, now in this type of farming, intensive farming require high dose of biochemical inputs and irrigation. Of course, when we know we have a very limited land but we have a huge population to feed, we need to use chemicals, we need to use chemical pesticide, fertilizer, insecticide, HYBCs, irrigation system, harvester, tractors. So many technology we need to use because we need to produce, as well as we are using the process of multiple cropping systems. Means 365 days we are using the land for different purpose. Okay, as you know, multiple cropping means when one land we are using more than once in a year, right? So 365 days we are using the land for different production of the crops. This is known as intensive farming because here we are pressurizing the land to produce more and more because we have a huge population to feed. Not only we are feeding our own country's people, we are also exporting these crops. We also export to develop some developed countries. Okay, so this is known as intensive farming. Now, though the right to inheritance leading to the division of land among successive generation has rendered landholding size uneconomically, and the farmers continue to take maximum output from a limited land in the absence of alternative source of livelihood. What does that mean? Now, as we know, right to inheritance, it means generation by generation, okay, we are getting less amount of land. Suppose your great grandfather, okay, suppose your great grandfather, he is having 100 hectares of land, okay. He is having, suppose he was having 5 sons, okay. So when that 100 hectares of land is going to divide among the 5 sons, so it's becoming like so each one of them are going to get 20 hectares of land, right? So your grandfather is going to get 20 hectares. Now in next generation, your father, your uncle, okay, they are going to divide the 20 hectares of land among them. Your next generation is you, okay, you are going to get, so generation by generation we are getting less amount of land. But as we know, here we are talking about the intensive farming. It means farmers or those who are the owners of the land, we want maximum output from the land, we want to have maximum profit from the limited land as well. So maybe we don't have that the single 100 hectares of land, but whatever land is left with us, we want maximum output. And how it is possible for us to get the maximum output? Now we are pressurizing the land, we are using new techniques, we are doing multiple cropping. So right to inheritance, and due to right to inheritance, land holding side is coming uneconomically, so automatically people are pressurizing the land and they are having a huge amount of production, okay. So because, and there are some other reasons are there, like people are not having alternative livelihood. If people are not getting alternative opportunities, so automatically they are willing to have the maximum output from the land only. So there is pressure, not only that, the pressure is not only that we need to feed the people, the pressure as well, we need to farmers or the landowners, they want to have the maximum output, so automatically land is getting the pressure more and more. That's why it is known as intensive farming system. Now next farming system we have is commercial farming, okay. Now, the main characteristics of this type of farming is the use of higher dose of modern inputs. Now, commercial farming is basically agriculture sector and industrial sector is directly connected. Okay, so as I said, commercial farming means agriculture sector, industrial sector is directly connected. So here again, when industrial sector is involved in agriculture sector, so they also want to have the maximum profit or maximum output from the land. So what happened now? Here in commercial farming as well, we are using modern inputs like high yielding varieties of HYV seeds, chemical fertilizer, insecticides, pesticide in order to obtain higher productivity. So we want to increase the productivity level, we want higher production. So automatically when we require to have higher production, we need to use these things. Now the degree of commercialization on of agriculture varies from region to another. Now in different parts of India as well as different parts of the world, region to region the commercialization on agriculture varies, okay. It's not that, okay, in same in different region we have the same crop as a commercial crop. No, it's not like that. In different region we have different commercialization on agriculture sector. For example, you can say rice is a commercial crop, okay, but it's a commercial crop in Punjab and Haryana. As we all know, rice is a kharif crop, right? But in Punjab, Haryana, people, farmers are producing rabi crops. Basically they don't have the suitable climate for kharif crops. But now at present, with the help of modern technology, in Punjab, Haryana also it is possible to produce rice. So rice may be the staple food crop for us. It is the staple food crop or the common food crop produced in Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, etc. And etc. But nowadays, with the help of technology, it is possible to produce rice as a commercial crop in Punjab, Haryana, because we know in Punjab, Haryana we have the maximum percentage of net shown area. So there as well we are producing rice as a commercial crop, not as a staple food crop, but as a commercial food crop. Now, plantation. Plantation agriculture system is also included in commercial farming. It's a part of commercial farming basically. Plantation agriculture basically is a part of commercial farming. In this type of farming, what happened? A single crop is grown on a large area. A single land is dedicated for a single type of crop. Okay, it's not that a land we are using for different types of crop. Okay, a single land we are using for a single type of crop, like a tea gardens. Okay, as you have heard, you never heard that in tea gardens people are producing some different crops or some different product. No, tea gardens are dedicated only for the tea plants. Okay, like sugarcane fields as well. Sugarcane fields, rubber agriculture system is dedicated for a single type of crop. So when a large land produces a single type of crop known as plantation agriculture. This plantation agriculture has interface of agriculture and industrial sector. If you see very carefully the plantation agriculture crops, you will see that these products we are not having directly basically. If you see the example like tea, coffee, rubber, sugarcane, banana, etc., these type of crops basically we are, there are some crops of course we are having directly, but there are some crops we are not having it direct. Tea, we are not having direct tea leaves directly, we need to process it. Coffee beans as well, we are not directly having coffee beans, we need to process it, then only it is possible to have coffee. Same goes for rubber, sugarcane as well. These are basically the raw materials for industrial sector. That's why we say plantation agriculture is an interface between agriculture and industry, and it is going to link industrial sector with agriculture sector. So plantation covers a large tracts of land using capital intensive inputs. Of course, when agriculture sector and industrial sector both having, we have in a one system. So when agriculture and industrial sector we have both together, so automatically require a huge amount of investment of capital. That's why this plantation agriculture system is a capital invested inputs with the help of migrant labors as well. So we required a huge amount of labors. Not only we required a huge capital, we also required huge labors, and basically they are migrant labors. All the products is used as raw material in respective industrial sector. As I said, there are some crops maybe we are not having it directly, we need to process it. So this type of crops produced in plantation agriculture worked as or used as a raw material in industrial sectors. So example, as I said, tea, coffee, rubber, sugar cane, right? These things we are not having directly. Industrial sector we need to process, and then only we are having it. Okay, like for tea, Assam, North Bengal, coffee in Karnataka, and some other important plantation crops grown in these states. So there are so many states in India where we are having this plantation agriculture with of course different types of crops. Since the production is mainly for the market, of course plantation agriculture is depend upon market demand. Okay, simply plantation agriculture is totally depend upon the market demand. Okay, so a well developed network and transport communication connection connecting with the plantation areas, processing industrial and market plays an important role, because it is totally depend upon the market demand. So it need to reach consumers. So of course from agriculture sector to industrial sector, to industrial sector to market, it required a very good transport system, and of course a well developed communication system as well, because three sectors we need to include together to have this work. So we have agriculture sector, we have industrial sector, we have consumers or market as well. So we need to connect these three sectors together. And how it is possible? So we need to have a well developed communication and transport sector. So to develop this type of agriculture sector, we these tertiary sector, which is transport and communication, plays a very important role. Okay, so all the three types of farming that practice still in India today we discussed their features, their reason behind it. I hope this video helps you to understand the types of farming. We will discuss further topics in your next class. Thank you students, thank you for watching today's video.